Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to another episode of Pod Snipe Celly. My name is Dan Bradley. Alongside me this week, Joel Fernino. Joel, welcome back, buddy. It's been a
I'm
while.
back. Did everybody miss me? You should have, because this becomes the Minnesota Wild show when I'm not around. So,
I mean, it didn't really, though. We barely actually spent a lot of time talking about the Wild. We talked much more about the Calgary Flames than we did the Wild.
I
We
know
talked
I'm
more
just
about the
giving.
Vancouver Canucks than we did about the Wild. We talked more about mixed martial arts and other combat sports than we did about the Minnesota Wild.
I enjoyed that. Thank you to your buddy Isha. Thank you, David.
Yeah, David welcomes you back. Thank you to Isha Jerome for filling in for you 2 weeks ago. We were off last week, and then 2 weeks ago, Isha filled in for you. So it's been 3 weeks since you were on for a show.
Yeah, I had obviously work comes first. I had some work events that week. I could not make that, so don't worry. I'm back to make sure that Chicago doesn't get bashed. But I did listen to the episode. It was really cool. You and Isha killed it. Isha, thank you again for filling in for me. I enjoyed the UFC talk actually, but also I got to give you guys a little shit for as everyone knows, I sent in my picks, and certain
about time you texted him in when you weren't here.
Yeah, I've only not been here twice, so I'm 1 for 2. That's fine. 50%. I'll get up there. Anyway,
50% like the Blackhawks PK.
I'm pretty sure it's lower than that. Anyway, I was getting a little getting accosted by you, like, oh, Joel's of course going to pick the Hawks over the Ducks this week, but he's going to be wrong about that. Was I wrong about that, Dan? Was I wrong?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the scoreboard.
Well, it's okay. I was very right.
Allegedly.
That's okay. I am sad I missed the trade deadline talk, and I'm not going to waste our time talking about it because it is long past, but I will give my summary. My summary is I'm happy with what we did. That Hagel trade was that Hagel trade was awesome. It's not like he was being actively shopped. It was like it was kind of like a look, that's an offer you can't refuse. And if I'm picturing a Kyle Davidson sitting in his office getting that call from Tampa, hearing what they're offering for Hagel and having him just probably like need to take a seat for a second, look around the room and be like, is he serious? Really?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big surprise to see that Hagel got moved, but when you look at the return, it was the type of, how could you not? And yes,
that's the thing.
The first round picks that they're getting in return, they're going to be late first round picks. They're going to be probably outside the top 24, I would say. I would be, the East is really tough this year, and Tampa Bay has they're tied with Boston right now, and Boston holds the tiebreaker. So if the playoffs started today, they would be on the road facing the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round, which Tampa, Carolina for a playoff series would be phenomenal.
The playoffs this year are going to be great anyway.
I genuinely don't know I don't know who wins that series. That probably goes 7 games.
Yeah, most likely. I would agree. But, that's all right. And I'm happy Marc-Andre Fleury got what he wanted. You get an amazing goalie in there.
Yeah, here we go. We actually, right on cue, had a question from David. He's
reading my mind.
Wants your thoughts on the Marc-Andre Fleury trade. Fleury to Minnesota. He's already picked up a couple wins in net for Minnesota. He's I believe he's getting the start tonight. Let me check on that. Check Russo Twitter.
You check on that.
Since Joel,
since the trade deadline, you guys have been killing it. You're like, what, 6-1, 7-1, something like that since the trade deadline?
Yeah, something like that. We went 7-0 after picking up Tyson Jost. Then we lost a game and then right back into it.
So I was right. So it's about 7-1, 8-1, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. And I was, so David, to answer your question, I was happy. Like, of course, it was a treat, and it was too short to have someone like Marc-Andre Fleury. But you know what? We were looking to trade him. I want him to go, try and win another cup before he retires, because I'm assuming it's going to happen here soon. So I liked it too. And let the record show, and you can bring the tape back for the rest of the 2021-2022 season, including playoffs. I, Joel Fernino, will be a Minnesota Wild fan.
I mean, I understand it. You want to bump that up to the first round pick.
For the sole reason of give me your first round pick.
We have the appearance. Yes, here it is. Per Michael Russo on Twitter, Marc-Andre Fleury will start tonight. Boldy won't play. John Merrill joined the team in Nashville but won't play. Also, Wild Twitter posting a picture of Fleury's new pads, and the new mask might be here in time too, but that is phenomenal.
I loved his first game with you guys. He still had the feather helmet.
Yeah, he's since like blacked it out, but you can still kind of see that it's still there, but the new one is coming. So
his heart still remains here. His family still lives here.
As a reminder, David's already jumped in on the show, but if you have a comment, a prediction, spicy take you want to share, let us know. Drop it in the comments below. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and on Twitter. Whatever Twitter bug we had off the top of the show, it seems to have corrected itself now, so we should be good to go there.
Beautiful.
So we're all in business. That was the little hiccup we had with when StreamYard went, but we're fine now. So getting right into it. Joel, this is episode number 22. Pod Snipe Celly. We're kind of cruising right along here.
Going through it. Let's go.
That got me thinking earlier today. Who is your favorite player to wear jersey number 22?
Whew. You know, you gave me this question early enough for me to look it up because, I don't know, 22 is not that common of a number, I guess. Well, obviously, we're asking this too because Mike Bossy, may he rest in peace. We just lost him. But my favorite. So if I had to choose,
what?
What's it? What?
Are you sure?
I thought I heard Mike Bossy passed away.
No, he's still very much alive.
What the hell?
Per Wikipedia, are you maybe thinking of Potvin from the Islanders era? There,
I thought I had just saw something. Huh? Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. All right, let me retract that statement.
Yeah,
my bad.
We're not doing a rest in peace, Mike Bossy here.
is still. He's
65.
Yeah, I saw something. I don't know. I saw something on Twitter that it said like we mourn the, and I thought I saw Mike, but maybe it was somebody else. So my bad. I'm a little rusty, man. I've been off for 3 weeks.
Well, hang on, because I need to walk it back because I said Potvin and that's not right. So I've got the wrong name here too. So I don't even know who.
Regardless,
it was Jean Potvin with the
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I'll have to see what I thought I retweeted it too.
So I was right. I did say Potvin. I was right. So never mind. I'm not walking it back.
All right.
We're going through it today.
Hey, that's fine. Anyway, my favorite. I don't know about you, but the Pots feeling
22. Yes, we are.
Dude, there's nothing wrong with a little T-Swizzle up in here, all right? So my favorite 22, Hawks related, so Blackhawks related first. For me, it's a tie between Troy Brouwer and Jamal Mayers. Jamal Mayers was just so much fun to like. If any, actually, here, perfect example. You always mess around about the piece of shit that is Rafi Torres. Rafi Torres got his ass kicked the next time we faced them the following season by none other than Jamal Mayers for what he did to Marian Hossa.
If you had to guess how many players in NHL history have worn number 22, what number would you guess?
22.
I mean, there's way more than that.
I don't know, man.
So throw a number out there.
122. I'm going to keep the 22 in there. 322.
More.
1,022.
Way less. Cut that in half.
522.
Yeah, 512 players all time have worn.
I wasn't that far 22.
Off. Maybe.
Anyway, other than the Blackhawks favorites, if I had to do like non-Blackhawk and like active too, I actually also have to mention Pierre Palat in there, but I wasn't alive for him playing. So, I've always kind of really loved Kevin Shattenkirk. So I'd probably have to go with him if I'm not going Blackhawks related number 22.
I think Wild specifically, they've had a pretty good run because they had 22.
I know exactly who you're going to say.
Cal Clutterbuck.
There it is.
Into Nino Niederreiter, into Kevin Fiala. So, I mean, that's a pretty good set of fan favorites right there. All time, I mean, earlier I said Bossy, but I think I'm going to change it. And I think I'm going to have to change it to Dino Ciccarelli.
Get him out of here.
You can hate all you want.
The old North Stars Blackhawks rivalries.
You can't not like Dino.
I know.
And as much as I love Fiala too, Cole Caulfield is up there for me too as just favorite players to watch. Like he's fun to watch. And even when he was struggling earlier this season, like he's still like he's turned it around. He has played so well under St. Louis as head coach, and whatever just clicked for him. I mean, he's got it figured out now. He's back on track. He'll be in good shape for the rest of the season and hopefully the rest of his career. I mean, he is an entertaining player to watch.
No, absolutely. All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going
to say, we'll kind of jump into our first segment here. Kind of a theme tonight. Feel old yet, Joel?
Yes.
I don't know about you, but
I very much
actually, my birthday is next Tuesday. So,
that's right.
During our show next week, I'll
give you a little
turn the age up a notch. You know,
I mean, I feel pain in my knees when I squat now, so there's that.
Yeah, there you go. You're starting to get, you'll be saying, "Get off my lawn" here before too much longer.
No, I will never do that.
I'm true. You live in Chicago. There's not a lawn where
not a lot
at.
of lawns. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask about you feeling old because Jonathan Toews playing his 1000th NHL game. I remember his career starting, and
Same.
the hype around how he and Kane were going to be the saviors of the Blackhawks franchise, and they really were. Joel, how would you as a Hawks fan put into words Toews playing 1,000 games, and not only 1,000 NHL games, but all 1,000 in a Hawks sweater?
I know it's pretty rare. That's like the biggest theme. Like it's pretty rare to play, 1,000 games with one team, let alone maybe your entire career potentially too. To put it into, I mean, I'd have to start it off by like, look, Jonathan Toews got me into hockey. Him and Patrick Kane both. Those two coming in, like you said, you remember the start of their careers. So do I, because they got me into hockey. I wasn't watching when Toews was drafted, and I believe I started watching the season after Kane got drafted. So after he won the Calder. So, I mean, I heard the names. Those two names were just getting thrown everywhere around Illinois, not just Chicago. And it was just like Jonathan Toews, but as a lot of people called him back when, no one knew him, Toes. But seeing his 1,000th game, the actual 1,000th game, unfortunately, against, the potential Stanley Cup winner in Florida. But, and then seeing the celebrations, seeing all his alternate captains come out, Siebes, Hossa, Sharpie, Shaw, obviously Kane and DeBrincat are there. To whom I forgot that Crawford and Adam Burrish were in the building for it. It was, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I shed a little bit of a tear. Like it's crazy. I mean, this was the first jersey that I was ever bought for me. It was a gift, and it became my playoff good luck charm throughout that entire dynasty era. And hell, I have a picture of you wearing it because you lost a bet.
Yeah, we're not gonna go there. That was.
But Toews,
the worst photo of me ever taken.
I still have it.
There are some bad ones.
I'll share it on the Twitter account. Don't worry.
I bet you will.
I mean, it's
surreal. Look, it's time to change the Twitter password.
No. I'll find a way through it.
Well, if it wasn't just the fact that it was Jonathan Toews getting you emotional and worked up this week, I mean, Marian Hossa as well, announcing he'll sign a one-day contract, retire as a Chicago Blackhawk. Like that, Hossa was a player that I, as a Wild fan and having to watch him in Chicago just dominate us, like I hated him, but I absolutely respect the bajonkers out of Hossa in the way that he played his game. One of the best all-around forwards ever to do it. Did we lose you?
No, I was doing something.
There you go.
So, I mean, yeah, dude. When he had to retire, I mean, realistically, that was the end of the dynasty. When it was he had to retire, I saw the forest through the trees that this is not going to be good. And sure enough, we kept it up for a couple more years after that. But it was only a matter of time. Obviously, we had to get the contract off our books with his skin condition. I Marian Hossa will be one of my favorite players, and for of all time, he's on my Mount Rushmore easily, my personal Mount Rushmore. And I mean, I retweeted it today with the caption like, look, all I can think of is when we signed him, he had his press conference, and then obviously that game 5 in overtime against the Nashville Predators, he killed. He came out of that 5-minute major and scored in overtime, and that's to this day. I mean, that's the loudest. That's what they said. That's the loudest they've ever heard the United Center. Like the place literally shook, and I captioned it today. And my opinion, there's no better way to say it. Like that was the shot heard or the goal heard around the NHL that started the Blackhawks dynasty.
I think for me, the defining Marian Hossa moment, and you'll remember this because I texted it to you the day that it happened, the moment this happened.
I know it, yeah.
Was a couple years ago, following the Martin Hanzal and Ryan White trade to Minnesota, and the Wild were first in the division at the time, cruising through the season, finally looking like, this is the team that we've been expecting since they signed Parise and Suter. This is the team that we expected with Koivu and with the young guns stepping up, and Dumba and Brodin, Spurgeon, Granlund, Niederreiter, Zucker, you name it, Charlie Coyle, all of those guys were playing well. And then they made the move to go all in and get Hanzal and White. And game against Chicago, and I'm texted you before the game, I was like, this game will determine the way the rest of the Wild season goes. Like if they win today, they are exercising the demons, and it's like they finally beat Chicago, put the Hawks down while they're on cruise control, or they're going to lose and the wheels are just going to fall off the wagon. And Marian Hossa strips Ryan White of the puck, and White just absolutely gives up on the play. The laziest back check I've ever seen. Like he didn't even back check. I think he went to the bench for a change, hung the goaltender out to dry. I think it was Dubnyk.
It would have been back then, most likely.
Most likely. I'm not 100% sure it was Dubnyk, but I feel like it would have been for that game. But Hossa just absolutely teed one up and buried it into the back of the net. And I think that made the game 4-2 at that point. 4-2 was the final of that game. I can't remember if that was the fourth goal or not, but that was a moment where I was like, Hossa just ended the Wild season right there. It does not matter the rest of the regular season, because that moment just proved that this team is not ready to go win a cup. And Hossa that's what he did throughout his career is strong two-way play, solid defensive winger, but still somebody who is a threat to score every single night.
Legit. And I think you have the best quote that I always ran by was Hossa doesn't need to deke on a breakaway or in a shootout. Right. He's just going to dare the goalie to make a save.
Yeah, it really is. Like he didn't need to be like I'm going to throw 30 dangles on you like what Patrick Kane would do. He would be just as effective, but in a different way. He had one move and you weren't going to stop it.
Yep.
It really was that simple.
Yep. Then look, he's going to do this retire. This is going to happen on Thursday at the game. I'm still fighting the temptation to buy a last minute ticket, even if I go by my damn self.
Yeah, do what you got to do.
This isn't how the business works, but you know what? My thing is on Thursday, while he does his retirement ceremony, throw 81 up into the rafters right then and there. I don't even care.
I mean, it's going up at some point. I just don't know if they're going to do it the same day, but I feel like they would have had to have announced that by now. They would have had to. They would have had to do something and let Hawks fans know so that they could quick double, triple, quadruple the price on tickets and jack everything up. Save it for next year, because I think the Hawks
are going to need some happy moments next year.
They're going to need some moments next year, because next year is not going to be pretty as they keep this rebuild going. Is it safe to call it a rebuild in Chicago at this point, not just a retool? Like it is a rebuild at this point.
I mean, even Davidson, he he legitimately came out and said it is a rebuild. Obviously,
Mm.
you got the people that yell and cry the fact that, well, if it's a rebuild, then why didn't you trade Taves and Kane? Well, you can still rebuild by keeping them.
Yeah.
Like, you build around them. They're the old guys that can help all those new guys coming in and the current new guys.
Mm-hmm. And one more feeling old for you, Ryan Getzlaf.
This was nuts.
Announcing he's going to retire at the end of the year. Getzlaf, Stanley Cup champion in 2007, 3-time All-Star, couple of U18 and World Junior gold medals with Canada along the way there as well. Another guy spending his whole career with one team. I guess, too, if you want to call it the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim and then the Anaheim Ducks.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. But 1,100 games and counting for Getzlaf, and really a solid career there. Plus, you mentioned as well gold medals in Vancouver and in Sochi as well.
Yeah, that was going to be. I was going to try and segue that with mentioning Taves' resume, because Getzlaf was on both of the teams that Taves won gold medals with too. So, I mean, yeah, Getzlaf to me was like, I don't have that much. I obviously just know he's always been good, and obviously he's been a thorn in our side. I mean, we had to. I think back to that 2015 playoff series against them, and I mean, he led the way, and he was one of those players I absolutely despised, but damned if I didn't respect him.
Yeah, you hated playing against him because he would dominate the faceoff dot for most of the game. You would not have the puck. Uncommonly gifted playmaker as well. I mean, he could find passing lanes that is like, how in the world did you find someone there in that space to feed the puck to? Kind of gave up on goal scoring the last couple of years, but still, I mean, looking at the last couple of years, I'm going to throw out the pandemic influenced seasons here, but even as recently as 2017-18, 50 points in 56 games, he's been, or actually, wait, no, or I had that backwards. Sorry. 61 points, 56 games.
Yeah.
In that season, 48 in 76 the last season, or 48 points, 67 games last season before the pandemic. So even up until then, like, he's still been a solid, productive player, a leader for the Ducks, and somebody that really should have a lot of respect around the league here as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy. Again, I think this is the best way to wrap it up, man. I just feel old. Like, I remember Getzlaf vividly every year. Obviously, we talked about Hossa, Taves. Like, man, we're old.
Yeah, it feels like it's the end of, like, our youth as hockey fans, because, like, that was, like, you grew up watching the Hawks, and that was as you were in high school and into college. Like, that was when the Hawks were winning.
Yep.
And for seeing these guys and Taves and Hossa and Getzlaf finally ending their careers, that's who we grew up watching. So it's just kind of a weird spot to be.
I hope Taves is not in that ending career phase yet, but as long as his health stays.
I'm gonna hold my tongue on that one. I don't quite know how I feel.
Shut your mouth.
I had to try and get you riled up there a little bit.
Move on to the next damn segment.
Speaking of riled up, Jay Beagle riled up as the Arizona Coyotes, losing 5-0 to the Ducks. Getzlaf's Ducks at that. And he seemed to take exception to Trevor Zegras scoring another lacrosse goal and really kind of making that his move. The big cross-check on Zegras after the whistle. Dropped the gloves with Troy Terry, who didn't drop the gloves, and Beagle just kind of kept wailing on him. But no supplemental discipline from the league here. And Joel, I want to ask you, do you think Beagle should have been punished for his actions against Troy Terry and Trevor Zegras?
It's tough. I mean, obviously, we're going to dive deeper into this whole spiel, this whole fiasco, but, like, just on this question alone, I don't know. It's kind of a tough call, because I think then if you do suspend him for it, it's going to open up that can of worms that's kind of been sitting there for a while of, like, well, if you do that, then how far away are we from just getting rid of fighting in general? Now, with that said, and we'll get into this, this was not a regular hockey fight. This was Jay Beagle being an absolute prick and mauling Troy Terry. without any gloves being dropped. That he went limp, and he just kept swinging
Yeah,
away.
did you see the picture of Terry's eye after the fight?
Yeah, Timo Solani
Like
tweeted it.
It's gross. Like
Yeah.
we're not putting it up on the screen here for anybody
No.
who's watching this with dinner or anything like that. But I mean, that was a mean looking injury.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna probably, maybe I'll get yelled at. Who knows? But I would say, yeah, suspend him. And now I get it. That
we got a comment here from Colton. If you play for the Arizona Coyotes, you have no right to say anything. Embarrassing franchise that will be playing in a college arena next year. Sell the team and move the Coyotes to a new location. Joel, we'll unpack that in a moment, but finish your thought there on
no. I couldn't agree more with Colton, but I actually have a thought that kind of jumps with that. So when we touch that, I'll get back to that. But yeah, I mean, I would say yes. I would suspend him. I'm not going to even go into how many games. That just opens up a whole nother different rabbit hole. But yeah, like the fact that Troy Terry did not play the next game against Edmonton, and then Beagle was playing the next game against, I believe, us. Oh no, that was prior. That was before. Either way, Beagle was playing the next game. Troy Terry was not playing the next game, and I mean, flat out, that's just bullshit.
Yeah, I have a problem with when there's an injury, and I understand you don't want to, just bring up a goon and have him be suspended as long as a player that he hurts. Like that's just not going to work. It'll never work that way. But I feel like there should have been some sort of a step in here. I feel like even if it was just a $5,000 fine from the Department of Player Safety, the league has come out and said they want to protect their star players, and you have to keep your star players on the ice. The league is better when your stars are on the ice. The league is better when hockey is fun. You know how much internet traction Zegras' goal got? Like it blows up. It goes viral. The first time that he did the lacrosse style assist, like that's still on highlight reels. Like when we look at the top 10 goals of the season, that's going to be at least number 3. I think there's one where McDavid stick handles through 4 people and just splits everybody. For me, that one's number 1 and Zegras is number 2. Just from what I've seen this year, like I think that's where it's at.
Zegras is going to be in the top 3 of best assists of the year and then best goals of the year. I mean, it's
he has the number 1 assist of the year without a doubt.
Yeah,
and as far as goal of the year, I mean that's probably up there as well.
That last one's number 2, number 1.
Hockey is better when the players are having fun. And
yeah,
Zegras doing something like that is fun. It's fun for the players. It's fun for the fans. And for Beagle to just be like, well, they're making the game, they're not taking the game seriously. No, I think that's a terrible mindset. I think the Coyotes broadcaster, and I hate bad-mouthing other broadcasters. As someone who does play-by-play, I wouldn't want someone to say something about me. Like, that's just how it is. But I have to say something here on this one. I think he was way out of line saying, like, when you're up 5-0 and you're trying to embarrass your opponent, he's not trying to embarrass the opponent. He's trying to score a freaking goal. That's what he gets paid to do. So you can't fault him for trying to score a goal and it happening to be in a flashy way. Were you mad when McDavid stick handled through everyone on your team and scored? I don't think so.
And I mean, look, I'm going to unpack just the same amount as you just did, but probably in a more pissed off way.
Joey's in on it here too. Announcers should be punished. Brutal take.
And Joey is the perfect opening to my rant here. So yeah, it was what's his name? I forgot his name. Tyson Nash. That's their broadcaster.
Yep.
And look, I get it from your perspective because you do it. However, I don't do it. So, look.
By all means, go ahead then. At this point, this is all Joel for the record here.
Exactly. That's fine. Anyway. Look, I'll call out any broadcaster when they're being a homer. That was a homer take if I have ever heard one. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I've had the privilege of being able to listen to Pat Foley, one of the best to ever do it, for many years. So I know what good and bad is, at least. But anyway.
That's true. I love Foley.
Exactly. He's retiring too. There's another field.
Yeah.
Anyway. But just for anyone who didn't hear, the call, saw the video, maybe didn't hear the call, but whatever. One of his comments, Tyson Nash is the Coyotes broadcaster, like, quote, if you're going to show off or hot dog it in a way, quote unquote, you better be prepared to get punched in the mouth. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, no. To me, I say, like, dude, shut your mouth. Stop being a boomer. Stop bringing all these stupid unwritten rules into any sport. It's like the friggin' baseball thing. When you do a bat flip, you're going to get pegged the next at bat. Like, it's absolutely stupid. So Trevor Zegras scores a beautiful lacrosse goal on you, and he mentioned too, like, you weren't in the, like, he was in between the benches or whatever. He was like listening to it, and he saw, look, I saw like some other players smirking at the opposing bench being up 5-0 and putting these crazy goals up, and flashy Cellys, whatever. Dude, if you're gonna, it's just like you said, like, if you're against flashy goals and Cellys and a little bit of showmanship, like, then go back to the 1980s. Go back to the 70s.
If you're gonna get mad about flashy goals, play some defense. Like, good lord,
exactly.
Post up at the side of the net and knock Zegras around.
Yeah,
or
it's pretty simple.
Guide the play to the corner like you're supposed to do. You pick up your man as he's coming around from behind the net, and you steer the play to the corner. You don't let him just walk around and walk it in.
And there's an argument getting thrown out there. I was listening to a couple podcasts earlier, like, well, Zegras shouldn't have poked at the goalie, up 5-0. If you watched, no, it's not. But listen, I'm getting there. If you watch that, I watched the video back like 5 different times. If you watch the video, the whistle goes, and as the whistle finishes, Zegras pokes once, and Beagle is just like, no, I'm gonna cross-check your kidneys for that. And then Troy Terry comes in, not with the intent to start beating the shit out of Jay Beagle, but to diffuse the situation and to, like any of the teammates do, stand up for your teammate that just got wrongfully cross-checked in the back. Troy Terry was not going in there to be like, yeah, let's drop the gloves and let's go. Let's brawl. Like, that's not what was happening. And then Beagle just proceeds to be like, I'm pissy. I'm embarrassed. I'm not good enough, but you know what? I'm not that good to score cool goals like that. We're down 5-0. Let me beat the shit out of Troy Terry's face to let my anger out. It's ridiculous.
There are times in hockey where a fight makes sense. That's one of those where it didn't. McKinnon, we talked about this on the last show. McKinnon hurting his hand because he fought Dumba after Dumba dropped Landeskog with a clean hit. And McKinnon had to sit out a game because he messed up his hand. Like, that was a really dumb fight. Like, he didn't have to do that. And that's not an argument for the type of play where, you should be fighting for that type of play. And the same deal here with Beagle and with Terry and Zegras. It's not the type of play that should have been a fight. That's just my take on it.
I mean, I'm with you. There was no need to drop the glove. He dropped the gloves when he saw the gloves weren't dropped by Terry. That's it. Push and shove. Like, it. How many times can we both sit here and say, like, there are thousands of scrums just throughout the season when it's a cross check or whatever? All it is some pushing and shoving, some yelling. Phil Kessel randomly got thrown in the box because you saw him on the bench. He's basically throwing, fuck you this and fuck you that towards Trevor Zegras. And Zegras' comments after the game, absolutely warranted. If not now, I love that kid even more now because he's no bullshit and he's right.
Yeah.
Like, it was absolutely, and to your point too, I agree. Like, if you don't want to get embarrassed 5-0 and have these younger kids, these younger soon to be all-stars and already all-stars, putting these flashy goals on you, play defense. Stop sucking. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, speaking of playing defense, let's talk Norris watch here.
Oh,
we got Cale Makar.
That was a rough transition. I'm all heated up now.
We got Cale Makar and we got Roman Josi, who looking like, I mean, it's really not a close race this season. Josi, 18 goals, 63 assists, 81 points in 66 games. Cale Makar leading all defensemen with 24 goals on the season, 75 points in 55 games. Joel, if you are a Norris Trophy voter, who gets your Norris vote this year? Obviously, goals and assists, points aren't the only thing that makes being a top defenseman.
Right, but when it comes to Norris voting, it apparently does.
It really has. In recent years, the trend has started to change a little bit away from that, but we're lying to ourselves if we sit up here and we try and say that there's not some to some degree that there's an influence on number of points scored. And both of them are just having phenomenal seasons.
Right. And I think this is the first time in a while, personally, that it's almost tough because while, yeah, the points are going to end up determining it, and that's something we've talked about. That ends up being the number one determinant, which is a little annoying at times. But Roman Josi specifically, like, we know how good we know the great defensive numbers he puts up. It just so happens that, especially this year more than any other year, he's putting up the offensive points to go along with it. So if anything, this year is like, you can't really make that argument like, oh yeah, the number one point scorer on defense got the Norris, like always. I think this year in particular, you can't make that argument. And that's pretty rare because most of the time that's what happens. I think the only, I think Victor Hedman was another one where you can't really make that argument. He put up the most points, but also he was just the absolute best defensively. I was juggling with this, and I don't think I really even had a decision until about 5 minutes ago. And I think I know he's got the highest points. It's the Joel. Hell yes, I do.
Joel writes in Seth Jones most likely. He says,
"Throw Seth Jones in the mix. He's got
hard no.
Not throwing Seth Jones in the mix.
Hefty no, thank you.
When it comes from a points perspective, he's doing well. Not Norris though.
Yeah. And the rest of his defensive numbers are not good enough to prop.
He's on a bad team. He's doing it all by himself.
I want to just run that back. Can you say that one more time? I didn't think I heard you quite right.
Fuck you. Yeah. Put that explicit tag on.
Yeah, it's coming.
I am gonna go Josi. And I think I kind of justified it right there. Like, look, I said Makar at the beginning of the season. Hell, it could end up being Makar, right? Like, what is there, 17 games left in the season, 16, something like that?
Yeah, ballpark 15 to 17, depending on the team.
Josi could take a step back and focus on just the defense. So, Predators get whatever seeding they want, dial it back a little bit, save some of it for the playoffs, right? Makar, I think, has the more flashy offense for sure. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I was at the game where he made Kirby Dach look silly. But I just think Roman Josi always backs up his defense every single season, and finally he's putting up the leading points on the offensive side to go along with it. So, yeah, I think Josi ends up taking it. And I'm going to go out on a hot take and say, even if Makar ends up somehow catching and passing him in points, I think Josi still takes it.
Looking at some of the numbers here, the one that really separates things for me is looking at the 5-on-5 Corsi numbers for Makar.
Oh, we're going data nerd. Let's go.
Yeah, we're going data nerd here. Among defensemen who have played at least 800 minutes this season, Makar has a Corsi for percentage of 56.08. That is 8th among all defensemen. Also on that list ahead of him in 5th is teammate Devon Taves. Makar's individual expected goals for at 5-on-5, expected goals for is 6.03. Actual goal total is 12 at 5-on-5. Like, what he is doing offensively is phenomenal, but it's carrying through defensively as well. Like, teams are not scoring when Makar is on the ice. They just aren't. They're not getting nearly the same amount of chances as they are, when Makar is on the ice. And Josi, yes, playing on a worse team and should be getting some credit for that. Objectively speaking, I don't think it's hard to say that the Avalanche are a better team than the Predators. I don't think that's a controversial statement.
That's a very easy statement.
Yeah. But that in mind, I think Makar, he's the best all-around defenseman this season. For me, I think he is your Norris winner. I think he's going to take it. I think he should take it. But to deny the season that Josi is having as well, I think we would be remiss if we did not include the way that Josi has played as well. Like, Josi is he is the Panthers offense, the Predators offense.
Just like what?
It runs through him. Yeah, slip of the tongue. It happens. Let me throw this one out there as well. Josi, 81 points for Nashville. Do you know who is second on Nashville in points? Among defensemen, I should say.
Oh. I don't know. Give me the.
Alexander Carrier with 27. He has a 56-point lead on the next closest. In fact, he has scored.
Holy shit!
Let me try and do some quick math. Yeah, he has scored more points than the next 3 Nashville defensemen put together.
That's that's fair.
So 50. Yeah, in fact, more than the next 4, because if you add up the next 4 defensemen, you get 79. So the next 4 defensemen on Nashville in combined point total is 79. Josi on his own has 81.
It's actually funny too, because that 81 only puts him 1 point behind the top 10 in points in the league amongst any skater, defense or forward.
Well, Joel, let's move into Wednesday night picks here. You had a pretty solid last couple of weeks. In fact, you're 6-2 over the last 2 weeks. I did not have a great run over the last couple of weeks. Isha 1-3, but he's on the board now as well. I like that everybody on our board has a win. I would feel bad if somebody came on and didn't end up getting a win on the
was that segment. Was that a participation trophy you just threw out there?
No, I'm saying I want people to do well and I want them to win, especially when we're matching picks. So, I want people to do well.
It's okay. I started parlaying these picks, and when I was doing them before actually betting money on them, I was killing it. Now, not so much.
Yeah, that's about right. That's how it goes. As soon as there's money involved, it changes the game.
Yeah.
We got 5 games on the slate tomorrow. We'll get through them here. We'll start with Tampa Bay Lightning -140 at Washington Capitals +120. Joel, who you got?
Oh, man. Tampa falling down 5-4-1 in their last 10. The Capitals are like sneaky. They're 6-4-0 in their last 10. They're actually in the exact same position in the Metro as the Lightning are in the Atlantic. But I feel like every time the Capitals have come up, it's some matchup where I'm just like, I don't think the Capitals can win that one, and they throw it in my face. With that said, I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
Yeah, this one's a tricky one for me. Both teams on a 2-game losing streak, both off tonight, so they'll be going in fresh tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Usually that would be kind of a tipping point for me in this one. I think looking at the playoff positioning and just the recent trends as well, Tampa Bay is 2 points out of second place in a stacked Atlantic division. I mean, you've got entering tonight, Leafs at 95, Bruins and Tampa Bay tied at 93. The difference for Boston is they're ahead.
Then you got Detroit at
and then Detroit at 61, tied with Buffalo at 61, no less. It is a steep drop off, but that is a very top heavy powerhouse type division. Then you look at the Capitals, who are 8 points behind Pittsburgh for third in that division. I think the Capitals have kind of come to accept that they're going to end up as wild card 2 in the first round. They'll try and get some momentum here down the stretch, but I'm worried about this Caps team, man. I don't trust them against Tampa Bay, even at home. Tampa Bay has been on the road this year better by one more win than they are at home. They're 22-12-2 on the road, 21-7-5 at home. So, there's something to be said for that as well. Capitals at home, this is the tipping point. Capitals at home, 16-15-5 at home, but they're 21-7-5 on the road. So if only for that reason, I'm going to take Lightning on the road here in this one.
We're going to agree. All right, that's fair.
Detroit Red Wings +1.5 goals at Winnipeg Jets -1.5 goals. Even money on that one, -110 each way. Joel, Wings +1.5 or Winnipeg -1.5?
Wings covering last week actually was the only thing that screwed the parlay I had. So you know what? I don't even care about the stats. Give me the Red Wings at +1.5. I'm learning my lesson. Now watch it not happen.
Yeah, that would be about right. Detroit I can't pick them in this one. Losers of their last 6. Winnipeg Jets 6-4-0 in their last 10. Winnipeg is kind of hanging around for that last spot. They probably are done.
That's my thing.
But they're 5 points behind Dallas, and Dallas is out of the wild card spot by a point, I believe. Yeah, I can math.
Yes.
They're out of it by 1 point. So they are 6 points out of a playoff spot with 12 games to go. Not impossible. We've seen it before, but Winnipeg is much closer to sniffing a playoff berth than Detroit here. I think Winnipeg kicks it up into another notch, and I think they go cruising at home against the Red Wings. Next one. Seattle Kraken plus 1.5 goals at minus 125. At the St. Louis Blues, minus 1.5 at plus 105. Joel, you're wearing the Hawks sweater. I know it pains you to pick St. Louis. I know you got a little bit of a soft spot for Seattle, even though you knew that they weren't going to be very good this year. Anything that can convince you to take Seattle on the road here?
Other than history of the Kraken deciding to kind of play a little bit better on Wednesdays on our Wednesday night picks than expected most of the time. I don't know, man. What, the Blues are sitting? What is that math? I can do math. 3 points behind Minnesota Wild. Man, okay, hold on. Let me back up. You guys are 9-0-1 in your last 10, so I was right. I was close. Anyway, the Blues are 5-3-2 in their last 10, rocking a 2-game winning streak at a plus 48 goal differential, and I'm going off of some a wise. Okay, I take that back. A sort of sometimes very rarely wise man wearing a red, maroon, whatever mullets shirt once told me that he'll always take the team with the higher goal differential, and we got the Blues sitting at a plus 48 and the Kraken sitting at a minus 60.
Yeah, David's saying pick the Kraken for the bit.
That's here. The Coyotes, not the Kraken. Coyotes for the bit.
Yeah,
I'm not going to howl because that's probably going to break everybody's ear.
Yeah, I think I'm in on St. Louis on this one as well. Seattle's killed me on picks this year. I want to believe. I want them to do well, but they have not done well when I picked them on Wednesday night.
We're well past that.
Yeah. St. Louis should win this one handily. They should hang on to, because they're close for a playoff spot as well. As you mentioned, 3 points behind Minnesota. It's really looking like it's going to be Minnesota versus St. Louis in that first round playoff series, which that is going to be a very, very fun series.
Destroy them.
Well, of course you want us to destroy them, because the further we go, the more likely it is that you get that first round pick.
Back up.
So you have said, I'd play the tape back earlier in this show.
I agree.
That's what you said.
But back up. Anyone playing against the Blues, destroy them.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. Point taken. Vancouver Canucks plus 140 at the Vegas Golden Knights minus 165. Vegas hanging around in playoff contention as well. They're
winners
3
of their
points
last
behind
5.
Edmonton. They are tied with Nashville, 1 point ahead of Dallas. So right now, Vegas is your wild card 2, who would play Colorado in the first round if things held. Joel, does Vegas, are they going to limp their way through to the finish line and pull this thing out? Is Vancouver going to steal a game on the road?
Nope. Vegas is absolutely going. Vegas has locked it into gear. They realize that they had a hard fall from grace with all those injuries. Jack Eichel is coming into his own now, finally. He's been as hot as ever, especially in a Knights jersey. Vegas winners of their last 5 as well, 5 in a row. Obviously, that could mean they're due, right, for a loss. But they've put a lot of distance between themselves and Vancouver. Vancouver's probably not going to be able to catch any of the teams we mentioned to make it into the playoffs. They had their run. Good old Boudreau had them going for a little bit, but I don't think they're going to end up making it. So I know Vancouver's going to want to try and play spoiler here, but I ain't gonna bet against my secondary team. I ain't gonna bet against the Knights here. I'm going with the Knights.
Yeah, we got 3 of us taking Vegas here. Is Joey chiming in as well, saying give me the Knights. So we got 3 of us there taking Vegas at home. And the late game of the night, the Ducks. This has been a Ducks-heavy show, I feel like.
It really has.
We've got
All in
more
favor of
Ducks
the
talk in
Ducks.
this show than on any show in recent weeks. Calgary Flames minus 1.5 goals at plus 100 at the Anaheim Ducks plus 1.5 goals minus 120 there. Ducks for the bit? Question mark. Ducks for this show's bit.
I mean, with how much of a powerhouse Calgary is, but also just with how skilled Anaheim is. Ducks for the bit. Let's do it. They're going to cover. They're going to cover. I ain't going to say they're going to win, but they're going to cover.
Yeah, Ducks, I'm looking up the home record here. 16-16-5 at home. Calgary 20-11-2 on the road.
Probably getting burned on this pick, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm taking Calgary in the hopes that I can catch you.
Oh, you pansy.
You saw the leaderboard earlier on. I got to take Calgary here. I want to see so bad. If Minnesota gets knocked out, I think a Calgary and Colorado playoff series would be phenomenal. I think that would be just some unreal hockey.
It's going to be an 8-7 final every game.
Maybe depends which version of Markstrom and which version of Darcy Kemper shows up. That could be 8-7. That could be 2-1 in triple overtime, and neither way would it surprise me. I guess it would surprise me if Markstrom is letting up 7 in a playoff game. That one would surprise me, but like 5-4, not out of the question in that series. 1-0, not out of the question at all. Just to recap picks here, I'm taking the Calgary Flames to win by 2 or more. Joel is taking Anaheim to cover. We're both taking Vegas. We are both taking St. Louis. I'm taking Winnipeg. Joel is taking Detroit. And we are both going with the Tampa Bay Lightning on the road at the Washington Capitals. Joel, are you ready for our favorite segment? Oh,
hold on. We got a little extra time. There was a question we were going to ask.
There was. I dropped it for time looking at where we were at and knowing that we had to go through the pick segment there.
Yeah.
But I guess we've got just enough time. As a reminder, In the Green Bets is coming up next. They actually hit they had a 160-1 bet on their winner last weekend that they just hit as well. So if you're not tailing In the Green Bets on your golf betting picks, definitely recommend you give those guys a look because they are on one right now.
I want to hear their excitement for Tigers news.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be huge. Tiger Woods coming back and potentially returning for the Masters. If he wins the Masters this year.
I mean, that would just continue to prove he's the GOAT, right? I mean,
sports is so poetic like that. Like, I could see it happening, and it would be kind of just a storybook for him from the car accident, wondering, is he even going to get to play again, to making his return at the Masters and winning. I mean, it would be phenomenal. It really would be a good story. But as for that question, let me get our banner here because we did make a banner for it. So we'll put that up. Joel, which defenseman would you rather have for the next decade? Cale Makar or Moritz Seider?
Cale Makar. I don't even, there's no thinking about it, man. If you're going to sit here and be like, here, take one of these two, red or blue pill for the next 10
I mean, based on their
years.
Jerseys too, red or blue pill.
Why do you think I said it, man? Jesus. You are getting old.
Whatever. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, settle down over there, Tyson Nash.
Yikes.
But yeah, dude.
Joel, if you're going to come in here with these hot takes, you better be ready to get punched in the mouth.
I'm here for the young kids. I ain't here for the old folk.
Joey's saying he'd rather have Seth Jones for the next decade. Guess what? If you're a fan, you do have Seth Jones for the next decade.
Spoiler alert, we have him for the next 8 years.
Yikes.
So absolutely Cale Makar.
Yeah, you went Makar. I am really tempted to say Moritz Seider here. Like, I know Makar has been very good, but Seider, watching what he has done in Detroit this year has been so fun. And I think he's going to win. I think he's established himself at this point that he is the Calder Trophy winner for Rookie of the Year. I wish my boy Matt Boldy would be up there. He isn't going to get to play enough games. It's just not going to work out that way. I was trying to look at futures here on DraftKings, and futures are down at the moment. So I was going to try and look up the awards voting and see where he's at in the odds. But one thing that Seider does that Makar doesn't do is hit. Seider is an absolute freight train coming up the ice. I think Makar's style of play suits him for a longer career. Just the physicality of it, and Makar, I think, better skater, a little better edge work than Seider as well. Just watching how Makar skates through the offensive zone it's poetry in motion. Watching him skate, Seider will run you over, take the puck up the ice, break it out to the winger, and pick up an assist on the goal. Like that's just the type of player he is. I would rather have Makar, but Seider makes things very, very interesting for me. And if we're talking about for the next decade, Seider is 20, and we're already seeing what great things he can do at 20. Makar 23. So if I'm getting slightly more of those better years, that's part of why I think there's a case to be made for Seider. But I'm going to just go with Makar. Play it safe on that one.
Oh,
and
okay.
and we'll go Makar.
What a twist, the way you were talking about it.
Joel, we're going to put 2 minutes on the clock here and do our favorite segment, 2 minutes for Ruffin. You ready to go?
This one's about to get heated.
All righty. I'm ready for it. In 3, 2, 1.
This has to pertain to professional athletes, not just hockey players, but NFL players, whatever, being human too. So there were a couple of cases. I'll start with the hockey thing first. Jonathan Taves' comments right after the trade deadline. There were plenty of people on Twitter bashing him man, how do you take his comments about, you can't help but think about playing or what it would be like playing for another team. And everyone just there were so many people that threw that out of proportion. He's being honest. Let the guy be honest. I'd much rather have Taves sit there and be like, and also it's not being said that his comments afterward were like, but Chicago's my home. I love it here and I'd like to just stay here. No one brought any attention to that. He was being honest. He's being upfront. I'd much rather have a professional athlete, especially that star caliber, be upfront and honest. You don't have to bash the guy for being honest about maybe it'd be kind of interesting to play for another team. There's nothing wrong with that. But people started shitting on him for it, and it was ridiculous. Now, the last 54 seconds, jump to the NFL. There was a guy on Twitter, he's a friggin' nobody at this point, but he went to an event. It was a charity event, I think, that Justin Fields, Bears quarterback, was at, and he asked to take a picture with him, and then went on this stupid little crybaby bitch rant on Twitter via video about how Justin Fields looked at him, rolled his eyes, and said, "Yeah, I guess I'll take a picture with you." This guy is a journalist. I'm not going to say all journalists are bad, but this guy basically he trashes Justin Fields. I don't even think he's part of the Chicago scene either. And he just starts bashing it. Justin Fields and no athlete owes any of us anything. I get it. We pay the tickets to pay their salary, but athletes don't owe us jack shit. If they're doing something good and they are a little tired and kind of shove off a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. Pro athletes don't owe us jack shit.
There you go. I feel like with where that rant was going, you could have gone on for another 5 minutes for roughing on that.
I'll go on for another 30 seconds. He this video is him Justin, he actually goes on further to start trashing Justin Fields as a person in general. I don't know Justin Fields personally, but I know what I've seen and heard of by the majority. The he's a class act. He's chill. He's a hard worker. Just because this shit journalist, there's not many shit journalists, but he's a shit journalist. Just because this guy who has been publicly writing shit, trash about Justin Fields, who Fields is a smart guy, you think he doesn't read that crap? Of course, he's probably going to be like, yeah, whatever, sure. And that's the biggest point here too. He still took a picture with you, bro. Stop being a bitch.
Yeah, Joey with a good take here. Social media has ruined letting athletes be human or honest. Everything these guys say or do is on blast at all times. That's my hot take for tonight.
That's
Joey,
not a hot take at all.
Thanks for your comment there, too.
Joey, that's not even a hot take. That's just true. It's fact. It's just, and it's true, man. These athletes, they're human too, man. Let them do what they want. Let them voice their opinions outside of sports if they want. If they don't, that's okay too. And let them just be them. If they don't want to take a picture because they're not feeling good or they had a rough practice or a rough game or whatever, they don't owe us anything. And anyone that pops up on any social media platform saying, "Oh, I buy the tickets, that pays their salary," dude, shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter, man. They don't have to, You don't own them just because you go pay your money to see them.
Tell that to a Packers fan.
Oh God. You know how I feel about Packers fans.
I do. I think that's probably a good place to end the show for tonight.
I'm gonna alienate Packers fans from our show.
Yeah, when we're going there, I think that's probably a good place to stop. So thank you to everybody for watching tonight. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at PodSnipeCelly. You can also stay tuned to Noop Sports and the Sports 2.0 Network for all sorts of content there. As we mentioned, In the Green Bets is coming up next.
I thought that said Packers for a second.
Oh boy,
like, what
can
just
you
happened?
imagine?
What just happened?
Joel, we're not going to bash Packer fans and Packer promo. No, no, we wouldn't do
They
that.
pay us.
Yeah, maybe we're looking for sponsors. So if
Pay
you know
for
anybody,
my love.
We'll see what we can do there. But that is it for tonight. Thank you for joining us. As a reminder, we are on demand on Spotify and on iTunes. You can catch replays on YouTube as well. Live every Tuesday night, 7:00 p.m. Eastern. Joel, what time is that Central?
What? Wasn't paying attention. Just kidding.
Yeah, of course.
6 o'clock Central, the only time that matters.
There you go. You heard it straight from Joel. 6:00 p.m. Central. Every Tuesday night that we are able to do a show. I should mention last week, coming back from USPHL Nationals, I didn't have a voice and then proceeded to go to a hockey game on Tuesday night as well. So that's why we didn't have a show last week. But I think we're going to have one every Tuesday now through the end of the season. That does include the playoffs as well, so we'll be able to break things down there. But that's it for tonight. For Joel, I'm Dan. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody.